What's up, everyone? Welcome to Midway Minute. I am Kevin Kaduk. That is Scott Koral. Today, we are asking the question, who will be the Bears starting quarterback in 2021? It's going to be a chaotic quarterback market, as Adam Schefter tweeted about on Monday. A lot of names on the move, possibly on the move, maybe on the move. We don't know. But Adam tweeted out a bunch of names, Scott. And what we're going to do here, I think we're going to have a little bit of fun. I printed out all 15 names that he put on his tweet.
Oh.
I have a Clark Griswold hat. All right. Are you following me here yet?
Oh, I got you.
I am going to put these names in here, shake them around. We are going to go one by one and talk about these guys as I pull them out. I'm going to give us a minute max to talk about each, but we don't have to use all the minutes. I want you to have fun with this. But I want us to come to a consensus on who the Bears quarterback will be in 2021. So if you're ready, cue up that clock.
Here we go.
All right. The first one is, of course it is.
Wow.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Now, from my angle, the answer is not a chance. We should move on. But you may have a different thought.
No, I don't. I thought maybe going into the playoffs, going into that last week game against Green Bay, if he does show you something, maybe it makes sense in a world. But, he didn't, and the Bears have to move on. That's why we're doing this exercise. Let's move on to the next name. Oh, I did this one. I misspelled this one on my little printer. Carson Wentz.
Interesting. The way that everything seems to be pointing, now with a new head coach and Doug Peterson out of there, it's more likely that Carson Wentz stays in Philadelphia rather than goes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, even if he was available, that I would want a guy that is, in a lot of ways, maybe slightly better, but similar to Trubisky.
Look, he's got a lot of ties to the Bears coaching staff, much like another guy did, Nick Foles. But maybe you bring in Carson Wentz so Nick Foles can bail him out, because that's only the time Nick Foles ever succeeds. So, yeah, I don't think he's coming. He's obviously worth a lot of money. And like you said, I think the Eagles are set with him. Here's one that I think is an interesting one. Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold he's another interesting guy. But now that the Jets hired Robert Saleh as their head coach, It seems like Saleh is very open to just trying to see where Darnold is and hoping that he can just improve with another year under his belt. He also had an offensive line that didn't show a lot of cohesion. Some of that was due to injury. You had first year Mekhi Becton at left tackle. He started to get better as the year went on. Maybe things can get better for Darnold here, and that may mean that there's another pick that the Jets won't take a quarterback.
So the Jets do have the second pick. Maybe they don't want to use it on him. If the Bears could get a shot at Darnold, I might be open to it, because he's a guy that you wouldn't have to lock into long-term or for a lot of money. Maybe you get that upside, and then maybe you kick the can down the road if it doesn't work out. Next guy, I like this one, Jameis Winston.
Breeze hasn't officially retired.
Right.
But the question is if you're the New Orleans Saints, you didn't sign Taysom Hill to all that money, 11, 12, $13 million a year, to sit him once Breeze officially does go into retirement. I just don't see how Winston is not going to be available this offseason. Would I want him for the Bears? I don't know.
Look, he's obviously interception prone. We know what happened when Jay Cutler, kind of a similar quarterback. Winston's got all the physical talents in the world. Really hasn't put together a full season. He looked great with the Bucs last year at times, but he did obviously have a lot of propensity for interceptions. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. I don't think the Bears could live with it.
No.
Next quarterback, Dak Prescott.
Now, there's a guy who I think is a likelier candidate to be the Bears quarterback. Now, technically, he is a free agent. He's already been tagged once by the Cowboys. He can get tagged a second time, and that would be the final time that he could. His tag number would be $37.7 million, which would be about $14 million more than Trubisky got this year.
Mm-hmm.
If the Cowboys don't tag him, it'll tell you how much respect they have for Dak, especially coming off that significant ankle injury.
Yeah. So obviously you do have some injury concerns, but I like how he might be able to fit in with the Bears franchise. He's got everything. He's obviously has the physical qualities. He has the leadership qualities, and I think the Bears fan base would really like him here. But there are a lot of questions, and he does cost a lot of money. So you have to be pretty sure before you set sail with, making a move on him. All right, here's another name from Sheffy's list, Alex Smith. I don't see this working. Matt Nagy obviously has some familiarity with this guy, but he's old. He's kind of old Trubisky, if you ask me, and I can't see that actually working out.
He wasn't great with Washington, but he did lead Washington to the playoffs.
Right.
He can be serviceable. The question you have to ask yourself, is he right now coming off that injury and with one season under his belt off that injury, is he better than what Trubisky was? The answer is yes. No. I think it's yes, but that's a good, you never know.
He's a placeholder for a GM and a coach that cannot afford to have a placeholder. So let's move on. I like this one. This is a very long name. You can probably make it out. Ben Roethlisberger. Oh, that guy is toast.
After last season, would you trust Ben Roethlisberger to run Matt Nagy's offense? I wouldn't.
No, absolutely not. What is he, 38 years old? He goes out there and he makes my body hurt when I see him going up and down the field. I don't want to see him in orange and blue. Let's move on that. That's just silly. Jared Goff.
Well, there's another guy.
Talk about a big money guy.
Yeah. Right now, he currently makes as much as Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. And so if that's the case, would you rather have Jared Goff or Aaron Rodgers? I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. So with that being the case, Jared Goff hasn't shown me a whole lot. He's got flashes, but that's about it.
The one blessing of the Mitch Trubisky era was that you didn't sign him to a Jared Goff contract. So I can't see why the Bears would possibly go down that route. You like this guy. We've talked about this in our recaps before. And this guy actually wasn't on Sheffy's list. I just added him because I know you like talking about him. Gardner Minshew, I thought would be a very good 1 year placeholder, if not slightly longer in 2 years. Okay. He's a guy who wouldn't cost you a lot. And if the Jaguars end up taking Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 pick, what are you going to need Gardner Minshew for? You already have Mike Glennon if you needed that veteran presence. Minshew's not a veteran, really. So you have that chance to get him for maybe a 6th, maybe a 7th round pick. He's cheap. I think it would work out. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, another Jaguars cast off. I don't know if Ryan Pace wants to go down that road. And again, I don't think they can afford to. If we're looking for a higher upside guy, there's probably, you could get more creative to get someone better than Gardner Minshew. So I'm not on board. This one is good. We're going to do a 5-second one on this one. All right. Let's not talk about this one too much. Let's not think about it. Maybe 9 months ago, we might have thought about it a little bit more, but this one, 5 seconds. Cam Newton.
I think we can move on after that.
Good. Under 5 seconds. All right. This one's never going to happen because it's Division One, but Matthew Stafford. If there was a way, would you want Matthew Stafford on the Bears?
If there was a way, absolutely. The question that you have to ask yourself is Matthew Stafford better than Mitch Trubisky? And a lot of people say, no, he's not because he's never won and things like that. Right. But the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their history. This is 101 years. Matthew Stafford has done it a few times. Mm-hmm. So would you rather have Matthew Stafford, who can show that he can put up numbers, or somebody who's shown that he can't? I'd rather have Matthew Stafford. Now, you'd have to trade for it to make it happen. And he's also worth a lot. Plus, he's the betting favorite for the Colts to go and get, who have the trade compensation, and they have plenty of cap room.
He's one of those guys where I'm looking at the 2022 Super Bowl odds and trying to project where he might go, see if you can find a value. Now, obviously, the Colts aren't presenting a lot of value. The Steelers, if they try to, aren't presenting a lot of value either. But if he gets creative, I don't know. But, yeah, Stafford is not coming to the Bears. And if you're going to take a risk on a guy like that, again, I'd rather go with Sam Darnold, who is not going to cost you as much money or draft capital.
I can agree with that.
All right. Finally getting to one of our guys, Desean Watson.
Now, Desean would be a number 1. Obviously, you want to go heavy after him. The question is, do the Bears have enough trade capital to go get him. And then
right.
It's his cap number. This year, he's making $15.9 million in 2021. And then his cap number goes up to $40.4 million in 2022. Would you want, I mean, basically you'd have to get rid of Khalil Mack and Kyle Fuller just to absorb that in 2022. At this point, as much as I'd love to see him in orange and blue, I don't see it happening.
I think it would be great, obviously, but with that cap, that cap is not going up after the pandemic. We're going to see where it kind of settles in, but the Bears are not going to get any wiggle room right there. Like much like the Blackhawks haven't gotten for the last 7 or 8 years. Right. There's no wiggle room. It would be great, but again, it's just like, okay, if there's so many needs that you have to address, and the Bears just can't afford to give up picks. Or Ryan Pace has been so cavalier with giving away picks, and now he's in a hole where you can go out and make a trade like this, and he can't. Because you got Khalil Mack and whoever before, whatever draft was before that. So
right,
Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, I ripped it. But his full name is still on there. Jimmy Garoppolo. Pride of Rolling Meadows.
You're talking about a guy who's now in the middle of a 5-year, $137.5 million contract with 2 years left. He's going to be 30 years old this season. That's a little older than you'd want, but he's a guy who's available, and I think he's a guy that you could get for probably a mid-round pick. Yes, he's from the area, and I'm sure he'd love to go back home. The big question that the Bears are going to have to ask themselves is, are you willing to go get Garoppolo and outduel New England? Because Bill Belichick is not going to go into next season with Jarrett Stidham as his starting quarterback.
Yeah, that's interesting. Obviously, he's 24-8. Out in San Francisco, did go to a Super Bowl, but it's obviously a little bit misleading. He did lose his job this year for a little bit there. So I'm not high on it, especially on that number. And I think Patrick Sharp is probably happy, as he will retain the title of best looking athlete ever in Chicago's history. So that's my wife talking. All right. We are down to our last guy, and it's someone we haven't talked about yet. Do you have any guess who it might be?
Somebody we haven't talked about. Maybe it is Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
Bingo. 15, the big cheese, Aaron Rodgers himself. Scott, I want to ask you a question. Did you read Bob McGinn in The Athletic just tearing apart Aaron Rodgers after that NFC title game?
I did not, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen that.
After we sign off, I'm going to link it in the Midway Minute newsletter tomorrow morning. And if you haven't signed up for the Midway Minute newsletter, I encourage you to do it now at midwayminute.win, because we cover a lot of Bears, a lot of Bulls, a lot of Blackhawks, anything Chicago sports, but that it will be in there. Bob McGinn is the legendary Packers writer. He does not like Aaron Rodgers that much. I never feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. I felt bad for Aaron Rodgers reading that article.
Let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers had an excellent season. The only thing he really wants is a new contract to give him the same money that he deserves.
Yeah.
Right now, he's getting paid as much as Jared Goff and less than Ben Roethlisberger. Does he deserve better than that? Absolutely. Does he deserve to be considered one of the top, let's say, 3 quarterbacks in the league? Absolutely. The question that the Packers are going to have to ask themselves: who is more important to the franchise, Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love? And if you answer Jordan Love, then you deserve everything you get when Aaron Rodgers signs with the orange and blue and leads them to the NFC North Championship and the Super Bowl next year.
I was really surprised at how quickly everyone took the bait on Sunday Night Running. Oh, hey, Aaron Rodgers is headed somewhere next year. He is not headed somewhere next year. I think a lot of this is contract posturing. I think a lot of it is saying, like, look, hey, you've got 1 or 2 more years to win with me. Go out and do it, and don't draft another quarterback in the first round. So obviously with the Bears, it would be a great fit. I would come around to it, like, even after he punched our faces in for almost 15 years now. It's probably not going to happen. And even if he does go somewhere, it's probably more likely he goes home and plays for the 49ers, right?
Which would give the Bears even more aptitude to go get Jimmy Garoppolo. Right now, if I had a betting favorite as to who I think will be the Week 1 starter for the 2021 Chicago Bears, there's a part of me that wants to say Nick Foles, but I think Jimmy Garoppolo is your best bet.
Okay, that's interesting. I want them to go out and find a way to get Sam Darnold. I'm on board. He didn't quit himself well with the Jets, but Adam Case didn't acquit himself well either. He's cheap. He'll be cheap. You can bring him in. You can give Nagy, hey, here's a quarterback. Here's a guy that was picked in the top 3. If you can't do it with this guy, you can't do it at all. So here's the door. So let's go with Sam Darnold for Bears quarterback 2021.
That's fair enough. So again, if you haven't subscribed to Midway Minute, please do so at midwayminute.win.
Yeah.
And also subscribe to our videos on YouTube. As you can see right here, you can get it all the time. Again, we do Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox, and we may even find a way to get some Red Stars and Chicago Sky. And please let Candace Parker come to Chicago.
Sure.
So
Scott, this was fun. I think I like this. I like this thing. We have to figure out a way to do more of this hat. I don't know, like we call it like the magic hat or something. If you have an idea for the premise of this video, the Griswold hat.
There we go. That works for me.
All right, Scott.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.